Welcome to Good Games Spawn Point, the show for younger gamers by gamers. I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo.
And I am D.A.R.R.E.N, your digital friend.
Aw, that's nice, Darren.
Affirmative.
Coming up on the show, we take to the virtual slopes in the reboot of the classic SSX.
Plus, Goose investigates chiptunes, the art of making music out of old low-bit computer and video game consoles.
Say, Darren, you're a bit old school. Did you ever have anything to do with that scene?
Oh, affirmative. They used to call me DJ Mixmaster Flash Drive. Oh, you should have seen me on a VIC-20.
Okay, well, first I think we should have a look at another game that's been given a reboot, Lumines.
Well, like DJ Fat 32.
Speak for yourself. Wob wob.
Hex, can you believe that it's been 7 years since we all lost many hours to Lumines on PSP?
Yes, puzzlers don't get much more compelling than Lumines. It's a game that really lets you zen out and become one with the blocks. The same formula is used in the latest version for the Vita, Lumines Electronic Symphony. The old 2D graphics have been overhauled and a huge soundtrack of electronic beats makes this the best version yet. Well, I think anyway.
Lumines takes its inspiration from classic puzzle games like Tetris and Columns. The idea is to connect 4 of the same coloured bricks to form a square.
Attaching more bricks to your completed square gives you a combo that'll score you even more points. As long as 4 bricks of the same colour are touching in a square formation, they'll be wiped.
Yeah, and once you've cleared a certain number of blocks from a level, you move on to the next level or theme.
Sunriser.
This will mean a change in the song, the colour and design of the bricks.
As you progress through Lumines, it of course ramps up the difficulty. Bricks begin to fall faster, you'll lose your rhythm, and then you'll find yourself starting to make some mistakes. And just like Tetris, when your bricks have nowhere to fall, it's game over.
To help you combat the increasing difficulty, you can rely on the nifty chain blocks. They've also introduced all new shuffle blocks.
Affirmative. The chain block will clear all the blocks of the same colour that are connected, while the shuffle block will randomise the colours of the bricks on the board and group matching colours close together. When used correctly, they are a noob's best friend, but even the pro players will need to rely on these special blocks to get them out of a bind, on occasion.
Well, they sure saved my skin more than once. But let's talk about some of the other game modes. Aside from your main voyage mode, there's a series of challenge games which will test your skills in some high-speed puzzling. There's also a stopwatch mode where you see how many blocks you can clear within a set period of time. My favourite is Playlist, where you get to choose from a list of songs and themes that you've unlocked.
Yeah, I like that one too, but I think I had the most fun with the 2-player duels. I could sabotage both of your bricks for hours and be a happy Bajo.
Unfortunately, dual mode is only available on ad hoc or local networks, which means you need to be in the same room as the person you're playing with.
Well, Lumines is at its heart a single-player game. It would have been nice to have some online, but at least they've given us something.
I'm glad to see they've included online leaderboards too. It's always fun trying to top your friends' scores.
Affirmative.
We'll get there yet. Darren, I think this is one of the best games on the Vita. It's fast and furious and fun. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, it looks fantastic and it plays superbly as well. It's 8.5 from me.
Noob alert! Noob alert!
What's going on, Darren?
My sensors indicate a noob is in the area. Let me through. I will investigate. Investigate.
Go, Darren, go!
Stop the noobs.
Get him!
Investigate.
Oh, what are you doing, Goose?
Ah, Darren, good, you're here. I've just discovered this amazing new style of music called chiptunes, and I'm trying to make my own.
Oh, chiptunes? That's my favourite style of music. Oh, here, let me help.
Wait, no, Darren. Do you even know what you're doing?
Do you?
Well, a little bit, but I did go down to Melbourne and I spoke to some real chiptune musicians.
Ooh.
It's just music made with or to sound like old video game consoles.
I think that there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the scene because it's really not about production values, it's about the quality of the music. There's a lot of people here, you know, kind of like myself who are in other creative industries who just see it as like an exciting outlet, as a way of getting music out sort of in a kind of interesting form.
All it is a sound set, and then everybody does with that what they want.
Well, historically, chiptunes are musical pieces created with the synthesizer chips taken from old systems like the Commodore 64. Chiptunes sound distinctive thanks to their use of sawtooth and triangle sound waves. Actually making chiptunes is complicated, however. You need to either hack an old gaming machine to play music, solder one of the chips into a modern synthesizer, or emulate the sound chips in software.
Yeah, I agree, Darren. Making chiptunes is pretty hard. There's so much tinkering with hardware and I don't know where to start, but luckily the musicians I spoke to explained some of the gear they use to make the music.
My hardware setup is an original off-the-shelf Nintendo Game Boy, and I'm using, for the most part, a homebrew piece of software called Little Sound DJ. It's a music-making interface for the Game Boy that allows you to operate the Game Boy as a sort of music-making workstation, essentially, making use of the sound chip that's on board the Game Boy. So it has that very distinctive sound that's very recognizable of being from that platform, but it gives you the control over what that sound chip does.
You have a music cartridge for it, and you basically write your entire song on the Game Boy. You have 4 channels. Lots of people kind of are able to pull out a ridiculously large sound for something that's kind of really limited and small.
Well, I'm not very authentic. I use sort of modern day PC with some software called Plogue Chip Sounds, which is a VST instrument, basically a plugin that models all of the sounds of the sound chips that you'll be hearing sort of on show today. And I do have a bit of original Game Boy in there as well, but I like the flexibility that the modern kit gives me. I kind of grew up with that.
Oh, I do like this music.
Well, Darren, did you also know that some of the musicians have also written chiptune music for video games?
Affirmative.
I was lucky enough to contribute some music to 2 of the installments in the Bit Trip game series, and it was really, really fun. It challenged me creatively to work in a style that maybe I wouldn't have ordinarily.
Darren, I'm so impressed with how much you can get out of this old hardware, and I think I may have worked it out myself.
Ooh.
Alright, let's fit a room. Now, this is the Chiptuner 2000. It just needs some power, so I might use you.
Charging my SID chip.
Alright, dance mode, engage.
Boogie, 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 boogie. Wop, 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 wop. Boogie, 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 boogie.
I'm doing the robot.
Wop, wop, wop. Boogie, 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 boogie.
Ooh, I love this song.
Wop, wop.
Keep it down, Darren!
Sorry, Hex.
Hex here with some news from the gaming world. Ed Hameskirk of Florida, America has set the world record for longest single play of an arcade game. Ed played the 1982 arcade game Q*bert for almost 3 days straight, totaling 68.5 hours on a single coin, beating the previous record of 67.5 hours, which has stood since 1985. Ed reached a score of 30,789,910 points, the 3rd highest score ever recorded for Q*bert. Minecraft creator Marcus Notch Pearson is going to receive the special award at the BAFTA Video Game Awards. The special award honours people who've made a significant contribution to their sector, and in this case it's for his efforts in creating Minecraft, which has more than 20 million players. A recent study has found that winning makes you act like a bit of a jerk. Researchers at The Ohio State University conducted several group tests where students were told they'd be paired with a partner to compete on 2 tasks. But in reality, there was no partner. After the first task, half of the participants were told they did better than their supposed partner, while half were told they did worse. The students were then asked to perform a second task, where the winner of a simple game would be able to decide how loudly and for how long their partner would be blasted with noise. The results show that students who won in the first task were noticeably more aggressive and blasted their opponents longer and louder than those who lost. Bajo? Darren?
Force field in place.
What was that, Darren?
I said Hex is taking a while.
Yeah, she is. Where could she be?
Welcome to Darren's Data Dump, the segment where I dump valuable gaming info directly into your brains. This week, a history lesson on a gaming classic, Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was first released in 1981 as an arcade game. In the 30 years since, it has been re-released for a multitude of home gaming systems. Donkey Kong is considered a classic for several reasons. Its gameplay set the standard for platform jumping, and it also made pioneering use of power-ups and barrels. More importantly, it introduced not one, but two famous gaming stars, that wacky ape Donkey Kong and the platform hero Mario. The game was designed by Shigeru Miyamoto, who would later create Super Mario Bros., Wii Music, Pikmin, and The Legend of Zelda. Donkey Kong is so influential, it even inspired the hit film The King of Kong, a documentary about two men battling for the highest high score in the world.
The average Donkey Kong game doesn't last a minute. It's absolute brutality.
Consider yourselves informed, Spawnlings. Data dump complete.
Thanks, Darren. I feel dumped. Hex, where have you been?
It was really weird. I was trapped in some kind of force field.
Well, don't sit down. We've got questions to answer in Ask Good Game.
Oh.
Come on.
I wonder what I should dump next.
Okay, Badge, let's start off with this one from Contras in The Place with the Games, which apparently is in Western Australia. So I want to go there.
I like games.
Hi guys, I have a couple of questions about game, of course. First of all, with the new Wii U, is it a portable gaming system or do you have to plug it up? Second of all, how do you look at screenshots on Minecraft and show them to other people? Last but not least, are there any robot games on the Xbox 360 like Metal Arms on the original Xbox? Because I really like stuff like that. Thanks. Contras.
Well, Contras, firstly, the Wii U is not a portable system. The controller with a screen on it isn't a standalone handheld like the 3DS or Vita. Instead, it actually streams games and information from a nearby console through the air. If you go too far away from the console, it won't work.
And here's how to take a screenshot in Minecraft.
Wait. Back it up, Hex. I thought we said last week that we're not going to talk about Minecraft this week because we talked about Minecraft so much last week. We're on Minecraft now completely this week.
Yeah, that's right. Well, how about we just do this one because it's only a partial Minecraft question. It's really little, so I think we can get away with it. To take a screenshot, if you're on a Windows computer, all you have to do is press F2. And if you're on a Mac, then press Function, or FN, plus F2. And that will save a screenshot to your Minecraft folder. And you can find that by clicking on Options in the Minecraft launcher. Then just attach a screenshot to an email to share it with your friends.
I love the function keys, Hex. It's nature's shortcut in computers. And Metal Arms is a fantastic game, but sadly there's not any recent robot games that I can think of that are anywhere near as good for the 360. There's a few average arcade games with robots though. The best I can recommend is Robo Blitz. It's a few years old now, but it still has some decent robot blasting puzzle action.
Okay, well, let's move on to this one from Jazza or Jared whatever in a small town called Two Rocks in Western Australia.
I've been to Two Rocks.
They have only two rocks there?
No, but it certainly rocks. I'm sorry about that joke.
Don't leave me hanging.
Sorry.
Don't leave me hanging.
I can't high-five that joke.
I took lessons for this.
Hey GGSP, me and my friend love your show and we're wondering if you could review the application for iPad 2 called Machinarium. It's a great puzzle-solving mystery game that's really fun. Also, could you tell us what you had to do to get your job and why it's so fun? Thanks a lot, guys. You're the best. P.S. My friend thinks Darren is a noob, but Darren, my opinion is you rock. Bajo and Hex, you guys are even better. Thanks a lot. Jazza and PJ.
Well, thanks Jazza and PJ, but we actually reviewed Machinarium a while ago. We reviewed the PC version and it's almost exactly the same as the one for the iPad. If you'd like to watch that review, you can go to our website and click on reviews and you'll find it at the very top of the page under M.
As for how we got the job, well, we're both very passionate gamers, so when we saw that Good Game were looking for presenters, we applied, had to do some auditions and write trial reviews, and passed Darren's test.
And why is this job so fun? Well, what's not to love about playing video games for a living and getting to share the joy and passion we feel about them with all of you spawnlings. But for now, let's move on to this one from Eli is Awesome in Noosaville, Queensland.
Out of curiosity, Hex, what did you get out of 100 for your test that you did with Darren?
Well, 100, obviously. I mean, you couldn't pass otherwise.
I only got 30. What?
Really?
Yeah.
How come I had to get 100 and you only had to get 30?
I couldn't balance that many melons. It was insane. The number of melons I had to put on top of each other.
I think we did a different test. There were no
Melons are
melons in
spheres.
mine.
What did you have to do?
Well, I just had to system network like 13 PCs and make sure their firewalls were working correctly.
I was balancing melons for weeks. I didn't even like melons. Certainly don't like them now.
Is there going to be a split second too? Thanks. P.S. Bajo is awesome. Hex is the best, and Darren is a total noob. P.P.S. I watch you all the time. P.P.P.S. You Giaz rule. Well, Eli, that's a tricky question because while it doesn't seem likely that there will be a Split Second 2, there is a faint glimmer of hope.
That's right, Hex. Shortly after the first one came out, the studio that made it, BlackRock, was shut down by their owner Disney, even though they'd already begun working on a Split Second sequel.
But we've heard a rumour that a new studio formed by old BlackRock employees was thinking about buying the Split Second idea from Disney for themselves to make a sequel. But that's only a rumour at this stage, so, I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Well, let's hope that rumour becomes fact because that first game was pretty good.
Yes, it was, but let's move on to this one now from Miniman in Cairns, Queensland.
Too good game. I really need your help with Mario Kart 7 for 3DS. Can you tell me how to unlock new characters, please? Miniman out. Easy enough, Miniman. To unlock characters in Mario Kart 7, you have to come first in the 150cc cups. Every cup unlocks a different character, and here's a quick look at which cup unlocks which character.
By completing all of the cups at 150cc, you'll unlock Mirror Mode, which flips every track. You'll also unlock your Mii as a character if you complete all of the cups at any CC. But let's move on to this one now from... Caitlin, in Sydney, New South Wales.
Speaking of mirrors, did you know that our eyes are actually upside down and they see everything inversely, and then it flips it in our eyes so it can send to our brain because our brains are upside down. And then it all makes sense.
Everyone
this is
knows
true.
that. It's like basic biology.
Well, I only learned it this
I like
morning.
space facts. Dear Good Game, my brother and I have finished Kirby's Epic Yarn on the Wii and we loved it, but we finished it in 1 week or so. May you please tell us some other games that are like it, but harder. Thanks, Caitlin.
Well, certainly we can, Caitlin, but first I want to say well done on your excellent spelling. In fact, I'm going to put a gold star on your email.
Don't put stickers on my screen.
Well done, you've earned that. In fact, I'm going to put another one.
No!
Congratulations, you've earned both those gold stars.
To keep everything really neat.
Fantastic work.
As for games that are tougher than Kirby's Epic Yarn, the 2D platformer Donkey Kong Country Returns is great, and it gets pretty darn tricky. And Rayman Origins is amazing too, and they both have co-op, so you can play with your brother.
Also, Super Paper Mario and New Super Mario Bros. Wii are excellent platformers with a decent challenge. And the Mario Galaxy games are excellent.
And since you like Kirby, there's also Kirby's Adventure Wii. But now let's move on to this one from Victini in the Unova region, Victoria.
I went for an Adventure Wii once. I went
Bajo,
out
it's
into the bush
Wii, like the
for an
console.
Adventure Wii, and I couldn't plug it in anywhere. There were no power points out in the bush. Nowhere.
I thought you meant...
What do you think I meant?
Never mind.
Hi guys, love the show. I'm a big fan of the Phoenix Wright and Professor Layton, and heard around the internet that Capcom and Line 5, I think, were making a mashup of the two series. Is it true? Excited if it is. Thanks. Well, sadly, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, Victini. But in this case, you can absolutely believe that because it's true. It's called Professor Layton vs. Ace Attorney, and it's in development for the 3DS. Let's take a quick look.
Sadly though, they've only confirmed it'll be released in Japan so far, but there have been more than a few hints that it will come out in the rest of the world, and we'd be pretty surprised if it didn't.
Pretty surprised indeed, Hex. It's supposed to be released in Japan this year, so fingers crossed we get an English version soon after. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go learn Japanese.
I know some Japanese, remember?
No.
Ichiban-sen, doama shimahimasu. Go chui kudasai.
Why do you want to borrow all my hats? I need all those hats.
That's not what I...
You know I'm doing my hat show this weekend. where I'm
Okay,
displaying
that's
all
all
my
the
hats.
time we have for this week's Spawnlings, and if you've got any questions, you know where to send them. Right here.
Get your own hats.
I would never want to wear any of your hats.
We gotta go back to the studio, quick! Actually, we can just take our time, it's alright. Well, SSX has been around for over 10 years now, but it's never had a proper next-gen installment until now.
SSX stands for Snowboarding, Surfing and Motocross. The first title was released in 2000 for the PlayStation 2. It was a ridiculously over-the-top snowboarding game, which, despite the name, contained no surfing or motocross whatsoever. It featured zany characters, impossible tricks, and courses full of huge jumps and rails. Several excellent sequels helped cement the series as a modern classic. However, the last game was released a full 5 years ago.
5 years is a long time. I bet some spawnlings haven't even heard of SSX. So, as you do when your series has been away for a while, you reboot it.
And it's been rebooted into a slightly grittier, more realistic game. The characters are much less zany, and the courses are all based on real-life mountain ranges. Happily, it's still all completely over the top.
Affirmative. Even though the locations are accurately built using NASA satellite information.
Whoa!
The courses themselves are handcrafted to create as much insanity as possible. But the realistic backgrounds make for some stunning vistas.
You'll be boosting down mountains, getting insane air with ridiculous speeds, and once you pull off a few decent moves, you'll enter tricky and eventually super tricky mode, which gives you infinite boost and lets you execute some pretty bonkers moves.
I love going into tricky. It's like NBA Jam where you burst into flames when you're playing well, and you just get into this real groove. You just pull off massive trick after massive trick, and the controls are pretty forgiving too. You can just let go of the controls and you'll almost always make the landing. It also reminds me of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit because it's got that contained chaos where you're always on the edge of disaster. Plus, best tutorial ever.
Hey, how's it going? Up for a little skyboarding?
All tutorials should be done while skydiving.
Personally, I loved the music. The constant wob-wob of dubstep may not be to everyone's taste, but it works extremely well in the snowboarding genre.
You're all about the wob-wob today, aren't you, Darren?
Affirmative, wob-wob.
I like the music too. It really gets your blood pumping, and I thought it synced up well to what you were actually doing in the game. For example, if you're flying through the air, it goes a bit quieter, and then it seems to always sync up perfectly as you land, and drops the fat beat.
I thought the courses are great too. There's loads of different routes you can take and shortcuts to find, and every mountain has its own style and dangers to worry about, which stops things from ever getting repetitive.
And the main campaign will take you on a tour across each of the mountain ranges. There's some story about Team SSX trying to beat their old rival Griff, but like most stories in sports or racing games, it's pretty pointless. Thankfully, it's all dealt with in a handful of short cutscenes, so it doesn't get in the way.
Recent news has found my ears, though, that one of their original team members, Griff Simmons, has bailed on Team SSX. And with Griff gone, most of SSX's funding has followed.
With each mountain range you reach, you'll unlock a specific piece of character gear which will help you deal with that danger on the range. So for example, you need KRE's oxygen tank to survive the thin air up on Mount Everest, or Elisa's wingsuit to cross the chasms in Patagonia.
Each range is broken up into several race and trick events, leading up to a final deadly descent where you simply need to survive to the end of the run. These are new to the series and force you to use your special gear to make it to the bottom.
My favorite is Alaska because the camera flips around and you have to outrun an avalanche. Epic.
But when you inevitably stuff up and fall down a chasm, you can simply rewind to a safe place. It's used really well though, so it's not an I win button. If you do need to use it during a race, then the other competitors will keep on going while you're stuck rewinding, and you'll only get to use it 3 times in a deadly descent before it's game over.
You earn credits and experience as you play. The higher level your character is, the better gear you can buy with your credits, and buying improved boards and equipment can give you an extra edge on the mountain, or just make yourself glow.
This run is short, so get going right from the start. Every inch counts.
The career is essentially a tutorial, however, simply giving you some experience with the various mountains and special equipment, as well as helping to earn a healthy amount of credits.
There are 2 other modes, Explore and Global Events. Explore lets you do almost every kind of event with every character, so if you want to try the wingsuit on a few other runs, then you can.
And the global events are a big part of the multiplayer. Here, everyone pays a small entrance fee to compete in the same events. These then go into a huge pool of credits which are divided up between the top scoring players in the event once it finishes.
The entire multiplayer section of the game is what's known as asynchronous, which is a fancy way of saying that you can't play with another player. You can only take turns. There's no head-to-head and certainly no split screen. You're only ever competing against other people's ghosts and scores.
Yeah, that was a real disappointment for me. Some of my best memories playing snowboarding games when I was racing my friends down the mountain. So to have no proper head-to-head, it seems almost criminal, doesn't it?
I was a bit disappointed at that too, but it won me over because everything you do online is connected to your friends. They have this thing called Write-A-Net, which is kind of like Need for Speed's autolog. Every event records your ghost, so when you come back after a few days, you'll earn credits if your ghost has beaten your friends. And likewise, you get to go up against your friend's ghost to try and beat them. You can also place these things called geotags. They glow and other players can pick them up, but the longer they stay out there without anyone grabbing them, the more credits you earn. It's kind of like a game of hide and seek.
I found the best strategy was to place them off the side of the mountain where you'd have to die to reach it. No one's going to get that.
Well, we should wrap this up. Final thoughts, Hex?
Well, it's definitely the most fun I've ever had in a snowboarding game, but, you know, it really gets points off for no split screen or head-to-head multiplayer, so I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Oh, I had a great time. It took me back to all those snowboarding games I used to love, but it was new enough for me to enjoy it all over again. I'm giving it 8.5. Have you ever gone snowboarding, Darren?
Affirmative. I've done some sick runs down Mount Olympus on Mars.
Oh, wow.
I'll pull off a jump, turn, 777, 20.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. We shall return next week with a bunch of other games to review.
Yes, we'll be taking a look at Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai. We know a lot of you are keen on seeing that.
Sword was the soul of its owner. Each katana gave its owner great power.
And two classic fighters get mashed together with Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Till then, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Darren out. Say, if you could mash together two games, what would you choose?
Ooh, I'd mash together Minecraft and Mod Nation Races.
What?
I could build my own cars and race them and build them tracks and race them around. And
I'd mash together Sonic and Portal 2. Can you imagine Sonic spinning through all those portals?
Oh,
Sonic with a portal gun?
What about you, Darren?
Oh, Terraria and Lego Batman. It could work. You could build your own Batcave and... No?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a good effort, though. Good effort.
Nice one.